Hey there guys, Rachel here from the Workshop Whisperer, where we help you to achieve business success in your auto repair shop. Now, I get asked the same question over and over and over again, enough times that I think we need to do a little live on it so that we can help you get straight in your head what the process should be when you're thinking about hiring somebody into the business. Now, when I get asked, who should my next hire be? How do I know when I'm ready? How do I know how much I can afford to pay them? The answer first and foremost is it depends. It depends on where you're at. If this is your first hire, if this is your fifth hire, and of course, how much money you're turning over. But once we identify where you're at, it's actually a completely logical and sequential process to work out who the next hire should be. So make sure if you're on here with me live, you let me know in the comments so I can say hello to you. And if you're catching this on replay, let me know in the comments as well. So if you're at the new end of the business scale, so you may have started sometime in the last sort of 1 to 3 years, and it's still just you. The answer to the question, who should I hire first, is always somebody to answer the phone, talk to your customers, and do your invoicing. Always. Now, you might think, but how can that be, given that what I really need to do is be able to make money? I should hire another technician and I should go out the front. And the answer to that is because you have to ask yourself this question: where do you, the owner, technician, make the most money for the business? And when you're in that very early stage, the answer to that question is on the workshop floor, getting cars serviced and repaired. So that's why your first hire should always be at that small point where it's just you, somebody to come in, and maybe it's half a person to start with, meaning they come in school hours or part-time and they just get that bulk of the day done for you so that you can try to invoice out somewhere around 6 hours a day. That's always your first hire. Now, often when you're in those early startup years, you're also likely to be struggling to pay yourself what you're worth in terms of salary. So it always is difficult, that very first hire. But what you need to have a look at here, and the mindset that is required, is if I'm able to sell 6 or 7 hours a day because this person is able to answer phone calls, prepare the invoices for me so I can get paid on the same day, as well as deal with the pickup and the drop off of cars and any other walk-in inquiries that there might be. What's that worth to me? How much would I pay someone to be able to do that, so that I can go and sell my time, which is where we really make money? So if that's a part-time person, then you might be looking at $300 to $400 a week. If it's a full-time person, and we'd like to sort of bring them in as close to being in the service advisor position as we can, then it's obviously going to be a little bit more than that. But you need to remain in the mindset of it's an investment, this very first hire, having someone to do this role for you. How much am I prepared to invest so that I can really start charging out decent hours? Because the more you can charge out, we very quickly get to the point of our next hire, so the second person to come into our business, which will be another set of hands in the workshop. Now, it may be that you hire an apprentice if you feel that you've got the mentorship capabilities to do that, but it also may be a technician. And again, that may be a half a person, but more than likely it's going to be a full person. You hand to them the hours that you're already selling, and then you go about finding business to fill yourself up again. Now, the benchmark that we work with when we're looking at what budget we have for wages and salaries is 25% or less of total turnover. So we've always got to be keeping that number in mind when we go to ask ourselves the question, how much can I afford to pay here? So when we're a little bit further into business, maybe we've been around for somewhere from 3 years, 5, anywhere up to 10. Maybe we've got a couple of technicians on the floor and we have somebody in the service advisor position, and you're probably going backwards and forwards between the workshop floor and the front office. So let's assume that you've noticed that the technicians are flat out. It doesn't seem like there's any capacity to do any more work, and you're thinking that you need another technician. So we go into a process of battle testing that. And the first thing that we need to do is to battle test with productivity. So you must go and have a look at your total team productivity to see if it is at 80% or more. If it's not, then the reason that you're always busy is not because you are booked to capacity. So it indicates to us that there are workflow problems, that jobs are being booked in, but they're taking longer than they should. You may have quality problems as well. So I'll say that again, if the workshop looks at it's like it's busy and at capacity and you're struggling to meet demand and you're saying no to people or there's a big wait list, the first thing you do is check total team productivity. And if we're not at least 80%, we are not hiring another technician. We've got workflow issues that we need to fix to free up our capacity so that we can take either more cars if we're not taking up our ideal amount yet, or it allows us more time to upsell on the vehicles that we do have coming through, which of course improves our gross profit dollars per hour. Now, if you are above 80%, battle test that there's not one technician who is taking the lion's share of the work, which might be covering for any other team members who might be under 80%. So check that off first. And if you are still above 80%, then it is definitely time to look for your next technician. If you are saying no to work or you're scrambling or you've got a big wait list, it is better to hire when you are somewhere between 80 and 90%. And bring that person in and grow work into their hours. If you are still going backwards and forwards between the front and the workshop, then you'll obviously be able to give them your hours that you're selling first of all, and then be able to book in extra work to fill them up. Hello to you who it is your first live that you've joined. Welcome. So that's the first part of it, is recognizing, are we just inefficient here and that's why we think we need to hire someone, or are we at the point where we need to hire and we're above 80%? So we've battle tested that. Now it's time for us to think about what we can pay them. So this is where we go to our wages benchmark and we have a look at where we're currently at. How much are we spending on wages and salaries minus your owner's pay? Unless you are selling hours, then you have to include your owner's pay. Are we somewhere between 22 and 25%? If you're under, then you've obviously got a budget already to employ someone, and you've got a little bit of a luxury there for the first couple of weeks, they can settle in, you can open up the books to more work and fill them up. If you're already over your wages benchmark, so you're above 25%, then we need to have a more close look at the investment you're prepared to make to generate more sales and make it worthwhile for this technician to be on your books. So this is often when we come to how much we pay this person, we let the market dictate to us, what the going rate is without actually making a business case for it. And it's where so many shop owners get into financial strife because, if you're already over 25%, that means that there's less money in your operating expenses to fund the business every day. So we're already under stress and we might have somebody that says, yep, I'll work here, but I need $85,000 or I need $100,000. And the owner will go off and try and make that work, and without any actual investigation of what that will do in terms of the benchmark and how that will negatively impact their cash flow. So you've always got to have a look to see first where you're at in terms of your wages expense, how close you are to the benchmark. It does become a bit of hedging your bets. You might see that there's another $55,000 before you hit the top end of the benchmark at 25%. That's obviously not going to get you a massively talented technician in the market today in Australia. You might be lucky. So you do need to take a bit of a gamble, and you're looking at how much extra work you're saying no to at the moment or you can't get done. And if you did have the extra technician with the right margins, how much could that make you? And you may decide that, yep, I'll pay this person $80,000, knowing that I'm going to get a 5 or 6x return on this investment if this technician works out. So that's how we look at it from the technician's point of view. From the service advisor's point of view, so you might be noticing a couple of things happening which might indicate to you that you need somebody else in the service team. And those things might be things are being left off job cards, so parts or time is going uninvoiced. The service advisor can't reply to phone calls, text messages, emails, walk-in inquiries, getting back to people with quotes in a decent time frame. And they basically will just be not getting the approval for the upsell opportunities because they simply don't have time to have the right conversations. So you might be seeing those things happening. And once again, we have to go and battle test whether or not we do need to hire someone. So our first part of the battle test is looking at the benchmark ratio for a service advisor, who we call a non-productive team member, to the workshop technicians, which are called our productive team members. So we need one service advisor roughly for every 3.5 technicians. Okay, one good service advisor will be able to manage what needs to happen in a day for 3.5 techs. The second we get to 4 and beyond, we need at least an extra half a person. So somebody working school hours, somebody working part-time. Otherwise, your service advisor is overloaded and cannot possibly get through what a busy shop and more than 3.5 techs requires of them in a day. So if your ratio is under, you don't have enough in the service team to support how many technicians you have, then it's a clear-cut case to recruit that extra half a person or one person. If it's a case of, no, my ratio is right, then what you actually need to look at is the current service advisor fit for that position that you have. It may well be that you're trying to make a receptionist or an admin person do a service advisor role. And we've spoken again and again about how people who are drawn to reception or admin roles aren't necessarily drawn or have the right skills for sales roles, which is what a service advisor role is. So do you have the right person in the right seat on the bus is the question you need to ask yourself. And if the answer is no, then can the person you have be trained to be a service advisor? Or does the person you have want to be trained to be a service advisor? Do they want to sell? If the answer is no, then you need to hire a brand new person to replace the person that you currently have, because you will only be truly successful in this if you have somebody operating as a true service advisor. So again, how do you remunerate your service advisor? We have to go and consult our wages benchmark. Where are we at? How much does that say we have to play with? And what is the additional amount of money you perceive your shop will make if you have the right person in that role, being able to sell the upsell opportunities, which allow your techs to sell more time and more parts. So what are you prepared to invest in that in order to get 5 or 6 times the return? They're the questions that you need to ask yourself when it comes to who do I hire and when do I hire them. They're logical business decisions. They're not ones where we guess what we can afford to pay someone, or where we think we might need someone on the to add to the technician team, but we haven't actually thought about, well, where's our productivity at? Do we actually have a capacity issue, or is it a workflow issue? And on the service side, it is, are we starting to see errors in the service department? Is it because our ratio is out for productive to non-productive team members, or is it simply that we've got the wrong person in the job? So I trust you found that useful. It's quite a long one today, but it's really important that you understand that this is a logical process, not one based on gut feeling or guesses. No more guesstimates when hiring and paying salaries. Consult your profit and loss report.